Okay, is there anyone else, ladies? No, no further statements, members? Anything? Okay, Don?
Not on this. I just wanted to, before we conclude the meeting, though, to extend an invitation certainly to one and all for folks to consider attending the Cortland Pear Fair this Sunday, July 28th. It's a good example, I think, of certainly community coming together to share not only celebration of some of the again, obviously in this case fruits that are grown in the Delta, but also to, I think, really highlight what it means to have community and to come together to I think show the broader community some of the fruits and wares that are part of the Delta community.
Are you in the dunk tank this year?
No, I'm not this year. I bet you, but they might extend an invitation to you. Raise some good money, Mr. Eisenberg. But at any rate, again, it's a fun time, and I know many here have had a chance to attend, and I want to just, again, extend an invitation. So thanks.
Thank you. Okay. Mr. Knopp, anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
I just wanted to check in before we break up. We've had a lot of suggestions in this that you and I would appreciate feedback from the council on how, if at all, you would like to follow up on the information we had. We talked about various ways that you could respond to Iowa. Bring that back if you have specific recommendations you want to ponder and consider later, or if there's other actions you want us to take with it, that would be helpful for us to have some guidance.
I think what you ought to do is you ought to take and run with two real and viable projects. Take something like the South Yolo project. We've already been briefed on it. Mr. Buck just brought some ideas which might be interesting in terms of providing larger perspectives and so on. I'd like to get off the theoretical stuff down to some practical. The other thing on performance measures, I will say this as I've said it before, pick 3 performance measures and put it on the website and update it when new information comes in. I mean, see, we've got so many performance measures that we're struggling to know how to start. If it's acreage of floodplain and related habitat, if that's a measure of progress or of failure, then let's start putting it up. But until we're willing to identify something other than government processes, complete a study, do this, do that, we're not talking about the co-equal goals, we're talking about the process of government. So I want to get to those things on performance measures. That would be very valuable in my judgment, and it would help the staff get through what is a damnably complicated set of questions, problems, and facts in terms of refining performance measures for the full range of things we talked about. There have got to be a couple that are quantifiable. I keep going back to the smelt and salmon figures where, Wilcox is out in a boat with a net every month or something like that, netting something, or his colleagues. And it just seems to me that just get on with it. But pick 2 or 3. Don't wait until you can do all 83, because you won't know how to start until you pick the simpler outcome measures. And just start highlighting them. And putting them on the website with the dashboard that we've talked about before, I think it will turn out to be remarkably important, because all the declaration of success and failure is the only way you can measure anything. Until you declare what success is and what failure is, how do you know what you're doing? That's the hardest thing to bring ourselves to do, because it's controversial. So pilot programs are fine, but pilot program has to start with, here's a measure of success or failure, and measure is an outcome. It is not a process. So that'd be my suggestion. Pat? Don?
No, I thought the panels were extremely helpful to bring in some understanding and certainly I think some clarity around some of the issues. Again, I think as you suggested, Dan, maybe some summary of what we heard. I mean, we had obviously the background. I think Jessica and folks did a good job bringing it to us, but I think that would be useful. And I, think just some of the comments we heard from some of the speakers here at the end of the session that may have highlighted either landowner concern and or those obviously that are parties to some of the restoration efforts. Again, I think they probably reflect many different folks and faces and certainly entities out there just by their comments, both Byron's and Rajim's comments, but Linda's as well. And so I think that's important because you kind of, just the three speakers were kind of reflective of a range of folks who are impacted by decisions that are made to go forward with projects and how they are only done or not. And so I think, again, a summation and maybe even some efforts to respond, if not specifically, certainly generally to some of those comments we heard from speakers, because I think they were, again, characteristic of those types of comments and concerns you're going to hear expressed from folks in any of the individual projects, but on the broader theme of having some coordinated science. So, I want to thank all the folks today. I found the panel is very, very helpful in bringing some better understanding, certainly for this member, but I think just generally to the process. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Meeting is adjourned. See you next month.